All right, I've actually tried to do this video, like, I think this is my 4th time. My phone keeps messing up. So we're talking about surface area, so go ahead and jot that down at the top of your notes in case you haven't. So the outer layer of a 3D shape is made up of faces, and the area of all those faces put together is called the surface area. So there's 2 different ways you can find surface area. You can either do it by a formula, which I'm going to show you, but you can also do it by just finding the area of every face and adding them together, which I'm also going to show you. So for the surface area of a rectangular prism, it's pretty easy. SA is going to stand for surface area. And what we're going to do is we're going to multiply 2 times length times width. I'm going to put that in parentheses. And then I'm going to add 2 times length times height. Put that in parentheses. And then I'm going to add 2 times width. Oops, put my parentheses in the wrong spot. 2 times width times height. And I'll show you where I got that from. You'll notice in a rectangular prism, you have 3 pairs of rectangles that are all equivalent. This rectangle in the front and this rectangle on this back edge are going to be the same measurement, which means they're going to have the same area. These 2 on the ends and this little guy right here on the end are going to have the same measurement. This big guy here at the top and this big guy here at the bottom will have the same measurement. So each of these 2's is just because there's 2 rectangles that I'm finding the area for. So I have to assign a value for length, width, and height. With a rectangular prism, it doesn't matter which you use for which. So let's just go ahead and use, we'll put the L here, the width here, and the height here. I just labeled them to keep it straight. It took me all of a half a second, and it's going to help you guys out in the long run. So let's just plug some numbers in. Surface area is going to equal 2 times 5 times 7 plus, and I got that from the length being 5, width being 7, plus 2 times length is 5, height we made 3, plus 2 times width, which is 7, times height, which is 3. And again, it doesn't matter which one on a rectangular prism you label width, height, or length, because if the prism was sitting this way, and this for the height, this for the length, this for the width, you're going to end up using all of the numbers the same amount of times anyway. Now we got to do our order of operations. So we're going to do the things in parentheses first. Rather than keep rewriting, I think we're going to be able to kind of do part of this all in one fell swoop. So let's go ahead and write surface area. And I'm going to do everything in parentheses and bring down my plus signs. So I'm going to have 2 times 5 is 10. 10 times 7 is 70. Then put my plus sign. 2 times 5 is 10. 10 times 3 is 30. Plus sign. 2 times 7 is 14. 14 times 3, I don't know that off the top of my head, so I'm going to jot that down right here. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 1 is 4, 42. Look at that. It took me 5 seconds, and I got the right answer. It's so worth taking those 5 seconds to make sure your answers are correct. So now to find my surface area, all I have to do is add some stuff together. Well, I know 70 plus 30 is 100, and 100 plus 42 is going to equal 142. And since I'm talking about area, I'm going to keep my units the same, but I'm going to add that square at the end. That surface area of a rectangular prism, or like that would work for this cube as well. Pretty simple so far, right? I'm going to switch colors here to make it easier to see. Now I'm going to find the surface area of a triangular prism. That's a little more difficult because you're going to notice it doesn't just have those equal pair shapes. I do know that I do have 2 bases, and I know the shape of my base is going to be a triangle. So I'm going to write 2 times the area of the base plus the area of the sides. So let's try to put that in a formula. SA equals 2 times 1/2 base times height. All right, where did I get that 1/2 base times height? That's how you find the area of a triangle. This triangle and this triangle are going to have the same area because they are my bases. So I'm going to find the area of that one of them, and I'm going to multiply it by 2 because this and this are both going to need a surface area. Then what I need to do is I need to go through and add in my area of my next triangles, or my rectangles. So let's start with this guy we can see here first. If this diagonal line is 5, that makes this diagonal line 5. So we have our first triangle is going to be, rectangle is going to be 5 times 5. Over here, if we go on this side, our height's only 3. So we're going to have a rectangle here with an area of 3 times this long one, which is 5. And then our last triangle is going to be our last rectangle. Why do I keep doing that? Our last rectangle we're going to add here is going to be 4 times 5. So see how you kind of have to go through and just see what your different rectangles are equal to. There's really not a good way to do a formula for that. So I'm going to go ahead and write surface area equals, and I don't know if you know this, but 2 times 1/2, those are going to cancel each other out, and I'm going to end up with 1. So I'm just going to leave this as base times height. So my base of my triangle is going to be 4. My height of my triangle is going to be 3. And I'm going to add that to 5 times 5, which is 25, plus 3 times 5, which is 15, plus 4 times 5, which is 20. So my surface area is going to end up being 12 plus, let's add some of these together. 25 and 15 is going to be 40, and 40 plus 20 is going to be 60. So my surface area is going to equal 72 feet. And since this is area, that's going to be feet squared. Not more difficult necessarily, it's just you need to make sure you're keeping track of which rectangles you have already multiplied. So, there's only one triangular prism on here that you have to do. The other ones are all going to be rectangular prisms, which isn't too terrible. You don't have to worry about doing the back. Make sure you're adding your units and make sure I can see your work. Have a good night, guys.